Okay, I think we are broadcasting. Not sure how many people are here. So I think I'll wait for about a minute just for people to get in. Just so I can know if people are actually hearing me, which is always a good thing. I'm going to tell you about my dinner. I made a sweet potato on top of rice and beans. It was pretty good. And the sweet potatoes were actually purple, which is something I've never experienced before. And they taste a little bit different, a little bit sweeter, I think. So that was cool. And I'm going to hop over to our Slack and let you know that I'm broadcasting. Oh, somebody can hear me. Okay. All right. I'm going to get started. Just we got a lot to cover, so I'm going to try to get everything in an hour. So let's get started. I got a slide deck here. And let's get started with this. All right, so welcome to Full Stack Nanodegree program. I'm going to go through this and talk about what you can expect. It is about 15 hours of work per week for most people. And so it's a pretty big commitment. There's also weekly one-on-one video calls with me, your mentor, which is awesome. And I'll talk more about that in a bit. And then there's also a weekly Ask Me Anything session in the Slack channel. So I'm going to need to schedule that soon. So a lot to cover in this first week, so bear with me. And then there's the weekly webinars, which is what this is. And let's see. I'm going to look. Still can hear me, guys? It's a little bit weird not knowing what's going on. So yeah, key dates. April 14th is the first deadline for the first project, and that is the log analysis project. I'll go into detail on all the projects in a minute. Looks like they also want you to spiff up your LinkedIn and GitHub. So that's kind of cool because you get some feedback on that from a reviewer, and they always have really great stuff to say. I've done it a few times already. And the second project is June 2nd, and it is I'll talk about that. And the last day is July 28th. So those are the dates, and I'll talk more about the projects specifically later on. There are some prerequisites for this program. You're expected to know some HTML and CSS, Python, and JavaScript. I actually had not had experience with JavaScript when I took this, and I had to stop and learn it halfway through. But I did. I completed it before the deadline, which is fine. So it's not the end of the world if you don't know it, but it would definitely make things more challenging if you don't. So there's, yeah, I'm just gonna go over real quick some Slack tips. I don't know if you guys know a lot about Slack. Some of you probably do. Just for the benefit of those who might not, I was just gonna show you a few things. One thing is like if you're talking about code and something and you want to show someone some code, you can use the backticks, and that will, if you're doing that inline, and you can use 3 backticks if you're doing a block code, I believe. And if you hold down Shift while you hit Enter, you can go to the next line without sending the message. So And that allows you to have multiple lines of code. And the other things, group messaging is a big one. If you want to have several people, you want to talk to several people at once, you can do it like that. Let me go back real quick. It's this button right here, plus open group message. And add people on there. And now you have a group message that you can write it to everyone. And another important thing, some of you already do this, so it's not really, I think you guys are already doing it, but replying in threads. So if you say something and then you want to say something, if somebody writes a message and then you want to reply to that specific message, you would click on replying in threads, which is here when you hover over it. And that just keeps things organized, keeps it not so cluttered in the channel. And it really helps, keep things not so cluttered. So, and the next thing is tagging people. A lot of people have different settings, so they may or may not see your message. So the surefire way of making sure they see it is to tag them, and that's starting with the @ symbol. So that's how you do that, and then you write the message, and then they get it. So, and already did inline code, already did block code. So that covers all the Slack tips. Are there any questions so far? Wow, that's crazy. Very meta. I'm not seeing any questions, so I'm going to move on. So let's talk a little bit about these webinars that I'm doing right now and what I'm going to be covering in all of them. I'm going to try to go over as much of the lessons that we're expected to do on that week, and I'm also going to try to do a lot of hands-on stuff where I'm showing how I do code or how I'm writing something, how I would approach a problem. I don't think anyone would say I'm an expert. I think the biggest thing I have to bring to this is that I graduated from the program, so I've put in my time, and I know what it's like to be frustrated and not know how to do something, and then just have to figure it out. So I'm hoping I can save you guys the headache by being a resource for you, and so that you can. I know the last Nanodegree I did was the mobile web specialist Nanodegree, and that was really helpful because they actually did some of the live coding, and it was really helpful to see how people were approaching problems, and so I'm hoping that I can do that also, and also I'm hoping I can answer some questions. It's gonna be a little bit different in a webinar setting, just because there's more people and not everyone is necessarily watching at the same time. Some people are watching later on. So if you do have a question, feel free to throw it in the chat area of the side panel, I guess it's on YouTube, and I will try to respond. I don't have a ton of experience with YouTube live, so you're gonna have to bear with me a bit as I learn this. Yeah, I also had thought about doing a coding challenge at the end of each webinar. Unfortunately, I did not get one done this week, but hopefully next week I'll get an optional coding challenge that'll kind of just encompass everything you learned that week. So escape the split scene. Yeah, I can make the slides full screen for now. Let me find. Where is it? Full screen. There we go. Okay. And there we go. So I'm gonna have to switch back in a second because I got the the shell that we need to be looking at. Yeah, so now we're moving on to the Ask Me Anything sessions on Slack. And so those will be 30 minutes long, and I'll do another poll to figure out when that time works best for everyone. And it's kind of don't expect I will know all the answers. So if anyone else has input too, that's very welcome. So both questions and answers are very welcome. And so some of you already scheduled your one-on-one video, live video chats with me, which is great. And if you haven't, please do so, because that's very helpful to get you. I'll be going over a learning plan, and I'll get you just kind of, it'll be nice to get to know you and what your goals are. And that's the purpose of it. Another thing that's that it really is helpful for is like accountability. Like if you say you want to get X amount of studying done that week, then I'll try to keep you on track. And also if you're stuck on anything, I can help you get unstuck. And yeah, the last point is that the desktop app is required for the one-on-ones calls. You can't do it through the browser. You need to have downloaded the app, and I have never tried it on a phone. Not sure if it works, but definitely on a desktop it'll work. All right. I'll do a quick overview of all the projects. The log analysis is actually a new project. The project I did was different. It's about Postgres SQL or SQL. And so you'll be analyzing some, aggregating and analyzing some data, and making some, answering some questions using a pretty large database. I think it's like 100,000 rows or something. So pretty close to what you would be doing in the real world, creating reports and answering questions about data. And it's really cool. I'm excited to see what that's about, because that's different than what I did. And mine was a lot different. It was kind of like doing a tournament or something. So yeah, and you'll be connecting the database to your Python app, and sending SQL to the database using scikov2. I don't know if I pronounced that right. And yeah, so that's going to be coming up April 14th. Again, these are soft deadlines. I think the official last day of the course is July 28th. Correct me if I'm wrong. So ideally, you want to hit these deadlines because it's designed to allow you time to finish your last project. So your last project will be due, and then you'll have, I think, like a month and a half to have it pass. So you send it to the graders, and then the graders send it back if there's any problems. So that's the reason for these aggressive deadlines, is that we're trying to allow time for the for you to finish the course in case the grading is difficult, or if you have difficulty with getting your project to pass. And if you do, I'm here to help you with that. I'm here to help you with getting your projects to pass. That's what I'm here for. And I am a resource for you in that regard. And then the next project is the item catalog. I'm going to make sure that people can still see me. All right. Yeah, people can still see me. The item catalog. So you're going to be connecting. I actually did this project, so I can talk more about it. You'll be connecting your database or a database to a web application and a front end, and creating a RESTful API. Actually, maybe it's not technically an API, but something of that sort. And you'll be implementing the CRUD functionality, which is create, read, update, and delete. So sending messages from your front end to the back end, and then deleting things from the database, and creating and reading and updating. And then you also are going to have a login system. And so you'll be learning the difference between authentication versus authorization. So one is authentication is, are you who you say you are? Authorization is, are you allowed to do what you want to do? Are you allowed to do that as who you are? Do you have that permission to do that? So yeah, so that's what you'll be learning. That one's due June 2nd. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one, and I'm excited to see what you guys end up doing with it. And then the last project, June 30th, basically you'll be taking the item catalog and you'll be deploying it to a server. So an AWS Linux server, and you'll learn how to install all the necessary packages and remote in and manage permissions, and then you'll deploy item catalog. And so it's a little bit daunting for me, having not dealt with servers much. For some of you, it might be easier. But it was very rewarding, because at the end of the project, you have your application live, and it's available for everybody in the world to see, and that's cool. So those are the projects, and you haven't. I think the last day is, like I said, July 28th. So you have actually 2 months to do all that. Oh wait, that's 1 month. Never mind. Yeah, 1 month to get the Linux server configuration project to pass, and then you graduate the course, which I'm looking forward to seeing all of you guys graduate. And so let's move on to tips and tricks. This is like I'm trying to reiterate over and over again that you guys, I'm here as a resource. That's what I do. That's what I'm doing here. I want to help you guys. There's also, I've seen on Slack, the ability to get someone to study with, a study buddy. And if you're having problems, and if that would be helpful, that is also available. And the AMAs, like I mentioned before, great way to work through your problems, whatever those are. And then the one-on-one sessions. So yeah, and last one, don't hesitate to reach out to me, direct message, and I'm available. I'll get back to you. I'm required to get back to you within 12 hours of your message, but basically if I'm awake, I'll get back to you as soon as possible. yeah, so this is kind of cheesy, but yeah, you can learn stuff in just 15 minutes, and you don't have to have like a huge block of time to get a bunch of learning done. So I just wanted to reiterate that like sometimes those 15-minute sessions can be a lot more productive than you realize, and I think it's important to just like log in and do the work as frequently as possible to, especially if you're behind or struggling. So that's, well, and then another thing I found helpful when I was doing the program is to look ahead to the project and kind of get a feel for what they're preparing me to do. So I just kind of have in mind like all the concepts I need to be learning in order to complete the project. And it helped motivate me and kind of helped me pay better attention while I was going through the course material, kind of knowing what the rubrics is and all the requirements for the project. And don't give up, but yeah, there'll be times where some of you might feel like giving up, and if you ever get to that spot, definitely reach out to me, and I will do whatever I can to help you figure it out. Another thing I found very helpful is to take breaks, take a walk, get away from the computer for a while. It really helps. Like a lot of times I'll come back and whatever problem I was trying to solve, it's a lot easier, and then I somehow figured it out without really like thinking about it on the walk or realize what I was overlooking when I came back. Just a fresh set of eyes is always helpful. And there's also career services available, which I can't remember if that's an extra cost, but there's that if you're like focused on trying to get a job, which hopefully you are, or trying to get a promotion or move into a different field. They are there to help you. That's not my role, but those resources are available, so just know that. And like I mentioned earlier, the LinkedIn and the GitHub review is also very helpful. And they also have a resume and cover letter review, which I'm not 100% sure if that's included with the course, but if not, it's also something you might, I think it is included, but if it isn't, you can purchase it. And it's very helpful. They always have, I've done it twice and they have some great feedback. So let's just move on to the course material for this week. I'm just going to jump right in. There's a lot to cover. Starting off with the command line. So we're talking about why do we even use the command line? A lot of you probably already know this, but well, the last project is a good example why we use command line is in order to hook up with the Linux server, remote server, you're going to have to connect using a command line. And there's also a lot of things that once you're good at using the command line, you can do a lot quicker than you could using a graphical user interface, which is what GUI stands for. And then another important point to keep in mind is that there's a difference between the command line and the program in shell. The command line program and the shell. So the command line is an interface to the shell. So if you think about git bash on Windows, it's giving you a Unix style command line to communicate with a DOS application background. So it's basically translating everything you write into something that can be understood by the shell. And that's the way I understand it. If you have a better explanation, I'm all yours. But that's the understanding I've been working from until now. Yeah, so yeah, another reason why is that the shell is an integral part of programming, and it makes sense because programming is writing code, and that is what you're doing when you're working with the shell. You're writing code, and why wouldn't you be writing code? Because you're a programmer. So that's another reason. Let me check to make sure none of you have questions. Not seeing anything there. Sorry, I'm just seeing your question. How was it decided that project timeline should be 4 months in time? I don't know. It was 6 months when I took the program, but there was additional stuff that we learned during that time. So I guess the stuff that they cut out, maybe that shortened it. But yes, the answer is I don't know. But yeah, 4 months. It's pretty aggressive in my opinion, but definitely attainable. So I'm going to move back here, and unfortunately, I'm gonna need to start going split screen here with the prompt. So let's just. I'm sorry for those of you that are already whiz on the command line, but I'm going to start at the basics. Some basic navigation. You can't start anything without hello world, so that is what I'll do first. How you would print something to the console is with echo. And that is how you do that. And so ls is how you list your current directory, or list the files in your current directory. So I have 3 files there, and then there's a bunch of flags that can go along with that. So you can show hidden files. Sure you guys are okay. Okay. Show hidden files with the -a flag. So I don't have any hidden files, but it shows these 2 commands, which is the current working directory and the previous directory, I think, as far as I understand it. And then you can show it in list view with a whole bunch of more details if you add the L flag. And that is really hard to see. Sorry about that. And then there is you can actually combine those 2 together if you want to see both hidden files and in list view. There you go. And so what are hidden files? A hidden file is a file that starts with a period, at least on a Mac. So you want to create a file, an empty file, just touch is how you create an empty file. And if you want to create a hidden file, you start with a period or a dot. And now we have a hidden file. Up arrow allows you to scroll through previous commands. That's what I'm doing here. And there's my hidden file right here. And so it won't show up when I do the list view. And PWD just basically shows you what directory and stands for print working directory. PWD, and I am in this directory. And then another command is cd. Allows you to change directories. Cd, and then so yeah, cd dot will allow me to go back to my previous directories. So if I print that directory again, you can see I am out of the 01 webinar directory. I can cd into that directory now using depending the name of the directory on it. And now I am back in it. And pretty straightforward. Those are the basic ways of navigating through using the command line. And every computer has a home directory, and that directory you can get to using the cd command and the tilde symbol, and that will take you directly there. And my home directory is named editor because I am a video editor, and that is what it's called. So yeah, we already went over cd dot dot, go to parent directory. And I'm going to go back to where I was. So you can quickly like go from directory to directory. If you put a slash in front of it, it assumes that you're looking from the root. So I'm not at the root. I'm at user's editor. So if I want to go back to my Udacity webinar directory, I can go cd. If you drop the slash, it just uses the relative path of where you are now. If you hit tab, it completes, it auto completes your the directory. Tries to figure out based on what's in the directory. And then now we're here. Okay, so that is navigation quickly. It's good. We move on to the next slide here. And so this is creating and moving files. We already went over touch. So touch to create a file. And then you can create several files at once in batch. And then like I said, you can see them again. There they all are, file 1, file 2, and another. And then creating a directory will be make dir. I'm going to go ahead and go full screen here for a second, so I can. There we go. So, can you see? Did that work? I still. Hopefully you didn't lose me. So make mkdir, mkdir is how to make a directory. So I made a directory, and I can use my ls to see that I made it, and I can move on to the next. Then you can actually rename that directory. So moving a directory, you can move a directory to a different place. So let's cd into that empty directory. and create another directory. And let's create some files. And so now we want to move stuff into the another directory. You can do mv for move stuff to another, and then you can't just stop there. You need to actually give it a name, because while you move, you can also rename it to something else. So if I wanted to do not stuff, so now it's both moved and renamed. So I'm already in empty. So now it's in there. And so you can also use move to rename something. So you just move it to where it is currently, but instead of giving it the same name, you can give it a different name. So, oh no. Where am I? Oh, I'm still in empty. So now it's been renamed to full. That basic moving folders and files. I have some more notes. If I can find them, if I get them. Yeah, so another thing you can do is you can move, you can use the wildcard symbol to match on specific file names or specific parts of file names. So the way that the wildcard symbol works is, let's say we want to move, let me add a few more files first. I added 2 more files with the extension .f. I don't know what that means. But I only want to move the files that end in the extension .txt. So I want to move, make sure I'm doing this right. Yeah. So move, yeah, so move these to the full directory. I believe that worked. So ls, now we're only left with the .f because the asterisk matches everything that comes after it. But if you, yeah, so everything that contained the txt got moved. So that's one way. There's more ways to do the wildcard. You can look it up. I'm trying to do a real quick overview and not take an enormous amount of time, because we're already 40 minutes in and I have more than enough material to cover. And so I'm going to skip curl right now because we talked about that for a bit in the lesson. So it's kind of a lot to cover. And I'm realizing how much time we have left. So removing files, also something you'll probably do a lot. So if you want to remove, if I wanted to remove this file here, file.f, Let's do that, rm file.f. You can also, if the directory is empty, you can remove it. So I believe I can go, trying to remember what's in full. Another. So removing an empty directory is removed here. Remove dir, rm dir. So you can take the relative path to that directory. And then, oh, it's not empty. So if it was empty, then we could do that. But since it isn't empty, there's another command. That's just the rm command with the recursive flag and the force flag, I believe. Now it is gone. Another is gone. Cool. Missing anything else? I don't know who's here anymore. It's really hard to tell what's going on. Let's move on to next slide here. So searching grep, if you want to search for a file or search within a file, you can use grep. We didn't download any files, but let's just add some text to a file. So Nano is a text editor program, and let's see, yeah. So Nano is a text editor program, and so we're going to add some. Add some to the file, and then save it, and then you can use grep on that file. The pattern is command and then parameters, and then what you're doing everything on. So that's something you remember with most commands. So that found the line hello, and in the file.f file. So as I said, I'm going to try to move on quicker because, yikes, we only have 15 minutes left, and I wanted to leave some time for questions. Any questions yet? Let's talk a little bit about setting variables in the shell. So you can use the $sign to set a variable. So you could say I want awesome be set to Audacity. And you can call that variable. Oh, I did that wrong. Sorry, it's awesome equals Audacity. Oh wait, no, I did it right the first time. Okay, and then you can call that variable by with the $sign prepended to the variable name. So we want it. There it is. So another thing to keep in mind is there's this difference between shell variables, which are internal to the program, and constants, they're unchangeable. And then there's environment variables, which are shared with your program, and they run within the shell. And so the example they gave was the knowing how big your window is, and that's unchangeable. You can't set that. So that's the shell variable. An environmental variable is the path variable. So this is where all of your program, all the shell applications live. So when you type in a command, it looks in each of these in sequence to find to see if any of those match on that command. And we're going to actually add to this. And in the lesson, it talks a bit about how to add things to your .bash profile, which has to do with the path variable. And we're running out of time, so aliasing is helpful, but I'm gonna skip it for now. I'm gonna skip the .bash profile too. Let's go right to version controlling. We only have 10 minutes left, so I'm gonna really quickly step through this. So what is Git? Git is version controlling. It's a way to make save points in your project, and it allows you to see what those save points are. And it's different from a word processor like that generates revisions automatically, because you give labels and meaningful descriptions to each save point, and you determine when those save points happen. And then there's a bunch of terms that they introduce, and I'll let you guys look at those. It's in your lesson. And really quickly, I'll show you what it means to create a repository. So to create a new Git repository, you will use the command git init. And so that create a new repository. And I have my .bash profile file set up to display the which branch I'm on, and also some information about like the symbol means that it's, I'm not exactly sure, but it just, this symbol shows up when it's empty, when it's very new. It's a new project that was just put under version control under Git. So I believe the course shows you how to do this. So if you haven't seen that yet, you will once you go through material. And let's talk a bit about git clone. So you would use git clone to download something from GitHub or another remote repository, something you use a lot. So I have Nope, not that one. I have this one right here, which is kind of cool. Let's see, out of my current repository to download this one. And so it's called Art, and kind of cool. You can use it to create ASCII art, which is kind of fun. So that's not how you do it. Just enter Python from art. And then it's tprint. So anyways, this is a repository that I downloaded using Git clone. So it pulled it from GitHub, which is what we'll talk about later. And I entered the Python shell to run some Python code. And to get out, you would just do Control-C, exit. There we go. So that is that. I see we only have 10 minutes left, which is kind of frustrating because I have a lot more to cover. Is there any questions? It's hard to know because I can't see anyone, and I don't know if anyone's watching. So if you have a question, feel free to drop it in the Slack. And oops. Yeah, there I am. So yeah, it's been fun, and I will try to cover a lot of the stuff that we didn't go over because I thought I could squeeze both the welcome webinar and the first week's material into one webinar, which I found out I couldn't do. So I'm sorry. Hopefully it was informative, the first part at least. And the next webinar we'll talk about, try to condense some of the stuff I wrote and throw it in with the next webinar, having to do with Git and GitHub. But yeah, from what I've saw talking to some of you guys on Slack, it seems like a lot of you have experience with command line and Git. So it's probably a lot of review. So I'm not too worried if any of you aren't up on your command line and aren't experienced with it. I am here and available to help you through that. So yeah, it's been fun. This is a different experience, but it's been fun. I'm really looking forward to working with you guys, and I'm looking forward to talking to each of you guys in the one-on-ones. So I think it'll be good to actually meet you guys. And until then, good luck, and yeah, I hope you keep working hard, and yeah, so it's been fun, and I will see you guys next week. I'm going to schedule a Ask Me Anything, and so if any of you have watched this later on and weren't able to catch it live, then and have questions, you can ask it then, or you can direct message me anytime, and I'll try to answer. But yeah, ask me anything. I'm guaranteed to be there 30 minutes straight, so I can answer it right away. So I'll get the poll out for the time for the Ask Me Anything. So yeah, that's it for me. It's been fun, and I'll see you guys soon.